Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking over. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And as I'm recording this video, it's come to my attention that CBS has now officially changed the minimum age needed to apply for Survivor to 16. And obviously this isn't a surprise, as during the Winners at War finale, Jeff said that he wants young people to apply more often, even literally saying that 16 and 17-year-olds could apply if they have, quote, cool parents, basically insinuating that Survivor wouldn't mind a 16-year-old applying for the show as long as the parents were okay with it as well. Okay, so first off, no, they're not actually going to put literal minors on the show. If you think that, then you need some serious help. But not only would that be a serious physical risk for reasons that are so obvious, and I'm not going to waste time explaining, but the psychological effects from playing a game as intense as Survivor are profound. Hell, even playing ORGs, also known as online Survivor games, are crazy. Coming from someone who just played one for the first time, it is ridiculously stressful and can seriously damage your mental health if you're not careful. Shout out to the people who played with me on our Discord server, top link in the description. Sorry, I had to do it. It was my free chance to plug my server. But seriously, I'm 16 and I don't even feel ready to go on Survivor yet, maturity wise. And that's not even bringing up the fact that a teenager is never going to win a jury vote, let alone a 16-year-old. Like, I would hope that I would vote for the teenager if they played the best game. But if you're a grown adult and you think of what a teenager would do with $1 million, you're thinking parties, cars, overall bad financial decisions, and you're therefore most likely not going to give the teenager your vote at the end, which sucks, but it's just the case. So not only is it mentally and physically unsafe for a teenager to play, but it's also pretty much useless. All right, now one positive. I think for several reasons, you're going to get better TV and personality from a 16-year-old. You're definitely not taking that PR risk unless you have a great personality and you need them to get on the show right now because their personality is just that good. And then two, teenagers have no filter because of their impulsive decision-making skills, which is kind of messed up in his own right, because you're capitalizing on the fact that a teenager says something that they really don't mean, or that they're going to regret later on in order to make better television. And in a way, it kind of feels gimmicky because it feels like the show doesn't even trust its own casting process and needs to reach out of its usual casting pool to find casting choices that are likable and interesting. And another thing that I can't understand is why they'd want to do this. If I feel like it makes sense if like past teenagers had been big characters or big players, but the 8 teenagers that we've gotten so far haven't been anything to call home about. First, we have Spencer from Token Sheens, who, for someone who is supposed to be a big super fan, played terribly and blamed his terrible social gameplay on the fact that he was gay in a tribe with a country boy like JJT. And it kind of sounds like he's the one making assumptions based on people's background. We also had Keith, the guy who quit the game in Edge of Extinction, Brandon Hantz, who was pretty self-explanatory there, Michael Yerger, who is probably the best out of all of them, and he was decent, Natalie Tenorelli, who you can honestly make the argument for being the biggest GOAT of all time, considering that she got like less votes than Philip at the end, who is definitely a gigantic GOAT. On top of that, you have Jessica Pete, a no-name from David vs. Goliath. Honestly, probably the worst casting choice on that cast, but considering that the cast is amazing on that cast, I'll cut her some slack. Julia from Edge of Extinction, and if you don't know who she is, she's the one who went out in that big live tribal, and honestly is more notable for stuff that she said after the game than what she did during the game. And lastly, Will, who kind of spends the whole game trying to make a move, and then when he finally does, he just gets voted out immediately after. And so to me, it's not like we're missing out on anything but by not casting teenagers. And I feel like that we're not going to get something even better, if we start casting actual minors. And I also think that going into it would be rough for the rest of the adults in the game to have to play with a teenager, because the adults may feel like they need to go easy on the kid. So even if the kid is the victim of some crazy entertaining blindside, it'll still be a bad taste in our mouths as viewers, because we may feel bad for him or her, which isn't really healthy as a viewer. I think as a viewer, we should never feel like a player is handicapped going into the game. And part of why I've liked people who are physically challenged in the past going on the show is the fact that the show never dumbed down the game for them or never tried to give them an easier time or treat them like the victim. You know, Jeff treated Christy, Chad, and Leaf like anybody else on their seasons. And when they were wrong at Tribal, he called them out. When they were lacking in challenges, he called them out. And a fear of mine is that if a 16-year-old went on the show, they may give them some sort of advantage to go in to counterbalance the obvious disadvantages that they're going to face when entering the game, which therefore starts to convolute the meaning of equality of opportunity, which to me is a very important thing, not only in Survivor, but also in life in general. Equality of opportunity should be extremely valued, while equality of outcome, to me, it should be avoided at all costs. In life, when you predetermine somebody's outcome because you feel like they come from a victim group or a disadvantaged group, you, one, do them a disservice by taking away their opportunity to work hard for what they get in life, and two, make it unfair for the rest of the people who were born in average or privileged waste of life. And to bring this equality of outcome way of thinking into Survivor is poison for the show's sustainability. And the last thing that I want to bring up is the fact that kids, as they grow, are much more affected by big events than adults are, because they internalize those big events and carry them for the rest of their life. Now, this could be in a positive way, like a very nostalgic way, like if you have a memory of this like really good smell, or a memory of this really cool place that you went to, or this like reoccurring deja vu memory. But it could also be very negative, where obviously everybody has some sort of trauma in their life where something bad happened when they were little and defenseless, and they just couldn't stick up for themselves, and it's really affected them in how they live their life and carry themselves in the present day. And so it can be nostalgic, I guess, when things happen to you good as a minor, but it can also be very negative and traumatic. And when you look at the Winners at War tribal council, where past winners opened up about not being able to do things normally, like eating food, working, and interacting with their families after coming off the show because of the trust issues that they developed while they were on the show. And then look at the prospect of young kids coming on the show. You kind of have to reconsider what this could do to them in the long term, psychologically and emotionally. I mean, like as a teen myself, I can definitely see the issue. Like, as much as I wanted to be on the show, and as much as soon as I saw this, I made a video and sent it in and applied for the show. I honestly don't want to go on the show right now. I'd much rather grow and then go on later when I feel like I'm more mentally mature and prepared, because I am kind of worried that I would say something kind of crazy, or that would make me look like some sort of bad person. People will obviously, with reality TV, will judge very, very quickly as to who you are. And so for me, I think putting teens on the show is exposing them to an audience that's very ruthless, one, and also very unforgiving. And so I feel like it's personally just not morally okay. And that's it, guys. I just wanted to do a quick video on this one. When I saw it kind of pop up. I kind of realized that this isn't really a new thing. It's just kind of come to the surface now, and people have just kind of noticed it. And when one person brings something up and it becomes like the new quirky thing to believe or say, this has kind of become that thing lately in the past like 48 hours on Reddit. So I figured I'd cover it and kind of debunk one, that it's not actually going to happen. Like, they're not actually going to have kids on the show for these reasons, because it's just so terrible. On top of that, I didn't even mention like the whole sexual assault thing that happened on 39. Imagine if that's a kid accusing Dan. Now it's a whole different deal. Just a terrible, terrible thing. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine. That might actually put Survivor off the air. And yeah, guys, if you guys want more content like this, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. None of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm just a weird guy speaking into a weird microphone. And if that's what, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.